Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about something very interesting. Yeah, it's yet another hot take, another bit of spicy lore deep dive from your boy Average Joe. No other channel is going to be covering this. They're all preoccupied with that. I guess there's some Leviathan box set nonsense coming out right now. Psh, that hardly matters right now in the face of the revelation I'm about to bring to you, okay? And that is that this little burb right here, this adorable little creature, could potentially change the face of Kroot kitbashing as we know it. And is there anything in Warhammer more important than that? I can't think of anything. So, without further ado, let's jump in and talk about why I think this little guy here can change Kroot kitbashing as we know it. Now, before we get started, as always, guys, a quick shout out to our one and only channel sponsor, Lord of Skulls. His website will be linked in the video description down below. Please go check it out if you are into World Eaters or Chaos in general and you want some awesome custom bits and add-ons for your World Eaters force, whether it's a helmet for Angron, it's an upgrade kit for the World Eaters Terminators to make them proper Red Butchers. Go check out his page. There's new stuff coming all the time, and use the discount code down below to get yourself some tasty savings on some already awesome stuff. Now, if you've been a subscriber to the channel for a while now, you may remember me making a video some time ago called the 5 key things to remember when kit bashing your Kroot. And basically that was meant for sort of like a guideline of like things that you kind of need to do in order to sell it as Kroot, because up until now Kroot have had a very distinct aesthetic and they've had a couple key physical attributes that sell them as Kroot. And basically what I was saying in that video is here's the 5 things. As long as you nail at least most of these or some of these, it should come across as Kroot, because it's very easy to just be like, here's a bird or here's a dinosaur and oh, this is a Kroot. Well, generally you want to change a little bit of that to make it really come across as Kroot. There's different factions that have, bird-like things with them, whether it's Tzeentch or Drukhari or whatever, and they don't necessarily come across as Kroot. They're just, a different bird-type creature. And so, working with the framework of what GW has provided us, I came about that little list there. And basically, the main things were they need a beak, but it's a specific kind of beak. It's usually jagged, it's always an underbite, and it's very like predatory in nature. The next is the quills. All Kroot have quills, from the Kroot Hound to the Narlock to the Carnivores. They all have quills. They're on their head, they're on their arms. They're not really feathers, they're more like little spiky extensions. But that's generally what they are. They have quills and they're in those same couple areas. The next thing would be their overall look and vibe. They're very tribal, they're very primitive. So that's quite important. And the other main one I would say, as far as like physicality, is their hands and their feet. So they're always 4-digited, and the hands always have if they are something that has a hand, like a carnivore, not necessarily a Kroot hound, but they're this cool design of 2 thumbs and 2 fingers, which is, I guess, modeled after the talons of a osprey, which is a fishing bird of prey. So those are the kind of things that, as a Kroot kitbasher, we look at and we try to bring across in all of our models, which you can see from me to, every other Kroot kitbasher out there will do things like have just specific sets of hands 3D printed to put on models to get that cool, unique hand shape of the Kroot. We're clipping off the quills from either 3D printed heads or real heads just to get more quills to put on different models that don't have them. We're green stuffing beaks, and we're very specifically green stuffing them in this sort of Kroot shape, because this is what we've always, had to work with. Because even though the Kroot model range is pretty limited, it is pretty varied. You've got things all the way up to the Great Narlock, all the way down to the Kroot Hound. But if you look at each of these models, you can so clearly see, oh, like this is kind of like if let's just say the base is the carnivore, you look at the Great Narlock and you're like, oh, that kind of looks like a giant carnivore, running on all fours, being savage. You look at a Krootox, and that's like kind of just a more jacked carnivore walking on his knuckles like a gorilla, and now there's another one on his back with a gun or whatever. It's very, very clear that's what's going on here when GW says things in the different little bits of lore and whatever, how it's kind of crazy, all the wildlife on Peck all seems to have a similar ancestor, and then lo and behold, it we can very clearly see all these creatures, although filling different like roles in the food chain and whatever, clearly look kind of like the same creature. And then along comes this little bird. So this is one of the first times, and I think it is the first time, where GW has actually given us a model from the homeworld of Peck, from the homeworld of the Kroot. And it even says in the articles about it, it mentions how all the things on that world share a similar, evolutionary branch or a similar ancestor, let's say. And yet this creature has almost none of those aspects of being related to Kroot, other than if we want to get the very basics, that Kroot have some sort of ancestry with birds, and that they have a beak, and the quills might be, a different form of feathers. But other than that, this thing is nothing like a Kroot at all. There's no indication that its hands, or it's, under its wings, it has those sort of Kroot hand shape. Its beak is not underbited, and I would even say it's not even particularly predatory. Like, it's not that far off of, certain, seed or fruit eating bird beaks. Like, this might be a vegetarian bird. It has 4 eyes, which is not something we've ever seen in Kroot. And even like it's covered in feathers, sure, but they didn't even go and make like the feathers on its head like spiky or quill like at all. So other than that this is a bird, and Kroot, I guess, might have come from some sort of bird. This has almost nothing to do with them at all, and I would have been perfectly fine if they said, oh, this is some other weird bird thing they found on a planet they were doing a mission on or whatever. Now, I suppose if you were some sort of a Kroot Puritan, and I haven't even seen anybody have this take yet, but I guess you could maybe look at it in a way of being like, oh, GW is getting lazy. They're not like really honoring like, this cool, sub faction that they have created. I haven't seen anybody take that take, and I hope that nobody is, because I see this and it just opens up a new realm of possibilities. Obviously, we all know that I never really have cared that much about following my own little set of rules. I'm more than happy to break them if it's a cool model or if it's something I think is, unique or cool I can do. But at the very least, I do try a bit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll always sculpt that Kroot beak. I'll always get those quills in there somehow. But other than that, I'm pretty flexible with how I bend the rules. But what this does for me, and it should do for you, is it makes those rules, or it makes it broadens that Kroot, um, imagery. You know what I mean? It makes it so that there's more possibilities. It's more varied, because here we have a creature that they are saying is still part of that Kroot lineage, yet looks almost nothing like a Kroot. So go with that what you will. We even have that page from the what was it called? It was that cool book. It was called the Imperial like Xenos, compendium or something, where it showed different forms of Kroot. You had Kroot on there that were like fully scaled. You had one that was like quite aquatic, and even those were a pretty big jump in the Kroot, repertoire of things that we could do or use with the Kroot body. Like, Kroot kitbashers have always been wild. We've always done crazy stuff, myself included. But like I said, I'm just basically trying to say that this little guy here opens up a whole new realm of possibilities. Because clearly, as long as you are like kind of a little bit bird-like, that's all you need, essentially. And you can say that it's from that Kroot homeworld. Maybe it's a more distant branch of Kroot. They're further away from the normal Kroot species. You know, do you want to take more big dinosaur creatures from Age of Sigmar that are fully scaled when Kroot don't really have scales, and slap a beak and quills on that, and that's a Kroot? Do you want to take like some sort of an Arctic creature from the Ogre Maw tribes kits, covered in thick shaggy fur, and give that thing a beak and some quills, and that's a Kroot, and that fur is just like shaggy feathers or whatever? Go kitbash to your heart's content, my children. Go free, go forth into the world, and take whatever the hell you want and turn it into Kroot, because GW has opened up the doors for kitbashing on us now, and they said you can go wherever you want, as long as it's vaguely a bird now. That is the only guideline, so I guess I should just delete that semi-successful video of mine, because it doesn't even apply anymore. Anyways, guys, that is all for now, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.